everyone, welcome to my channel Priyanka's Learn It Well. My name is Priyanka Nair and I welcome you all to yet another episode of Statistical Elements in Data Science. And in today's episode, in continuation to the previous episode, we'll be looking into a few more statistical indicators for numerical variables. In this episode, we would be taking up the concepts of skewness and kurtosis, quartiles and mode. Talking about the quartiles and mode, we had a brief introduction to the same concepts in the previous sessions as well. So quartiles divide the distribution into 4 equal parts. So we'll see the implementation of these concepts using the R language, and to understand the concepts of skewness and kurtosis, I would be taking up standard deviation and variance with example. So let's start with today's episode. So before we begin with the episode, do not forget to like, share and subscribe if you're liking my content on my channel, and hit the bell icon for all the notifications from Priyanka's Learn It Well.
So starting with the skewness is the measure of symmetry. So skewness, we can say that it is the measure of symmetry that exists with our data, and especially we talk the skewness in terms of the lack of symmetry. So let's understand this with this small pictorial representation. If I consider this as a normal distribution, and if I have a center point to this distribution, if my left and right side of the data distribution appears to be same, then I say that it is symmetric. However, we have two more variants to the skewness, that is the left skewed and the right skewed. Now the left skewed and the right skewed means if the data is more inclined towards the left or towards the right, we'll say that it is left or the right skewed respectively. Now talking about the next concept, that is kurtosis. So kurtosis is a measure of tailedness. So here we are saying we are comparing the tails of this distribution, whether it is a heavy tailed data or a light tailed data. Now what do you mean by heavy tailed and a light tailed data is that if we have the value of kurtosis as high, so the high value of kurtosis corresponds to the heavy tail, and the low value of kurtosis corresponds to the light tailed, and the high value shows that there is a presence of outliers, whereas the low value shows that there is very few or no outliers that we can associate with our data set. Of the standard deviation and variance, to understand the skewness and kurtosis, we need to have a glimpse into the standard deviation and variance. So first let's understand what is the difference or the relation between the two. So the standard deviation is depicted by a sigma, and variance is depicted by sigma square. So with a little observation, you can see that the standard deviation is the square root of variance. So this is the relation that exists between the standard deviation and variance. So what is a standard deviation? Standard deviation is the measure of closeness of the number, from the mean. If we have a high value of standard deviation, then the data is more diverse or dispersed data that we are having. So to see here that we'll see that how we can see the closeness of a number from the mean value. Now coming to the next part, that is the variance. Variance is the square difference from the mean. How do we calculate the variance? The variance can be calculated in 3 steps. So let's see one by one. So first is we need to work out the mean of the data point that we are intending to apply the statistical indicators upon. The second is that you need to subtract the mean from each value. So subtract each value from the mean. So this mean we found in the first step, and then the result. So whatever result we are getting, we need to square the difference. So we'll get the squared difference. Now coming to the third part is that we need to work out the average of those squared difference that we are gaining in the second step. So the third and the last step is that we need to find out the average of the squared difference value. Let us now understand the variance and the calculation of variance and standard deviation with the help of an example. Now this example has some heights given for a table. So we have different heights for 5 tables given here, and we need to find out the variance and standard deviation for this data point. So to carry out the process, first step, as we already discussed, that we need to calculate the mean. So what is meant by how do we calculate the mean is we'll be adding up. So we'll be adding up all these values, and then we'll be dividing it by 5. So the formula for sum is that we divide the sum of values by the total number of values. So on adding all these values, we get the value as 1970, and when we divide it by the value 5, we receive the value as 394. Now if you see this diagram here, I have plotted the tables on the graphical I have shown a graphical representation here. So you can see that the first table is having the height in meters as 600, the second is having as 470, the next is having as 170, 430 and 300. So let's write down the values here, since there is no exact plotting. So this is 600 in size, this is 470 in height, this is 170, and this is 430, and this is for 300. So I have just plotted these values over these over this. Now the second step is that I need to calculate the difference. The next is the difference calculation. So what we'll do is that you need to calculate the difference between the number and the mean value. So you'll reduce the value of mean from the each number, and you'll get some value here. So let's say after deducting, I get the value of 206 here. Here I get 76. Minus of 224, 36, and this is 94. So that is 300 minus 394. So the mean that I got here was 394, and in this step I have deducted the mean from each height value that I have. The next is so we are still on the second step, we haven't yet come to the next step. So we'll be squaring the difference that we have got here. So let's say I have to do the 206 square, that I'll receive the value as 42436. 42436. Similarly 76 square is 5776. Then I'll get 50176, 1296, and 8836. So I have calculated till this the second step. Now in this particular graph, what we have done is, first we have plotted the mean here. So if I if I have to plot, so this is somewhere where I will be getting my mean here, and then I will be looking for the difference. To understand what we have done here is that for each value we have seen the distance of that particular value from the mean. So adding up the total height and dividing it by the total number of values, we received the mean. And to take the difference, so the first is 600, so I'll be seeing the difference of 600 from the mean. Here it is 700, so the distance here 170 is towards the negative side, so I'll be taking the distance between this particular table and the mean. And 430 the difference, and with 300 it is again in the negative. So these values are having a negative difference. To remove the challenge of the negative value, we have squared the difference that we have received here. Now the third step for calculating the variance is that we need to work out the average of the squared difference, difference that we received as the result in the second step. So for averaging, what we do is we'll add the total values that we have here and divide it by the total number of values that we have. So we'll get the sum as 1,08,520, and when we'll divide this by 5, we get the value as 21,704. Following these three steps, we have received the value of variance as 21,704, and from variance we know the relationship between the standard deviation and variance, where standard deviation is the under root of the square root of the variance. So when we calculate, we get the value as 147 meter. So if I need to see it on a distribution, so it will look something like this, where this is the mean, and the values will be shown in terms of the distance, or how close or how far is some value from the mean of the distribution. We have already discussed the concept of kurtosis, but here I would like to just take the general form of kurtosis, so we can interpret the values that we obtain when we perform or apply the indicator kurtosis. So there are basically three types of we have already talked about kurtosis in the previous sections a bit before. So before moving further, I would like to touch upon the types of kurtosis that exist. So when we apply kurtosis and we gain values, we should be able to interpret the values of kurtosis. So to define kurtosis, we have already seen that it is the measure of tailoredness, and in other words, the kurtosis identifies whether the tails of a given distribution can contain the extreme values. So here you can see this image. So it has three nomenclatures here, that is leptokurtic, mesokurtic and platykurtic. So starting with mesokurtic is refers to the normal distribution, where the value is the excess kurtosis value is depicted as 0 or close to 0 value. Then let's talk about the positive excess kurtosis. So here I just missed on leptokurtic. So So we can say that leptokurtic indicates the positive axis kurtosis, and the leptokurtic distribution shows heavy tails on either side, indicating large outliers. So here you can see this leptokurtic, and this red curve is referring to the leptokurtic kurtosis. That shows that there are a lot of outliers at the with the distribution. Now coming to the last type of kurtosis, that is the platykurtic. Now this platykurtic distribution shows a negative axis kurtosis, which means that the kurtosis reveals a distribution in flat tail. So here you can see with this blue line that it will be having some flat tails, unlike the other two. So these flat tails indicates that there are less number of outliers or no outliers at all. So when we get the value, we can determine the tailedness, the heavy tail or the lower tail, with the help of the kurtosis. Let us look on to the next topic, that is quantiles. And quantiles is a statistical indicator based on the term quantity. Quantiles divide the data into equal-sized adjacent subgroups, and in the previous section we had taken the term median. So median is a quantile that divides the data into two equal sized subgroups. Now if the data is being divided into 4 equal sized subgroups, it is known as a quartile. If it is divided into 10 equal sized subgroups, it is known as a decile. And if it is divided into 100, it is known as a centile. So the quantiles is a generalized concept that tells you that the data set can be divided into equal size subgroups. So, and they have different nomenclature based on the what is the the equal sized adjacent fractions we are dividing into. Now these quantiles can also be known as fractiles. So either you call them quantiles or fractiles, they are the same thing. Now let's understand the concept. So with this section, I would be concentrating on the quartile. I'll be explaining the concept of quantiles with the help of quartiles. So quartiles, what quartiles does is it divides the data into 4 equal parts, wherein each part has a share of 25%. So let's see what these 25% have to do, how they can be interpreted. So this is the lowest the lowest quarter. This is the up to the medium. So this is the lowest 25%, this is the 25% up to the median, this is the 25% greater than median, and this is the section that is the highest 25% of the data set. So in this data set we can say that this is the median. So this is the point at which we would be having the median. The quantiles are seen at the cuts. So for example, in this pictorial representation, we can see that median is happening at the cut that is exactly dividing it into 2. Now this is known as the lower quartile and this is known as the upper quartile. Now this lower quartile is again having a cut here. This upper quartile, the lower quartile cut is termed as Q1. The lower quartile, the upper quartile cut is known as Q3, and the median here is known as Q2. So we'll be working with the nomenclature of the Q1, Q2 and Q3. So we'll understand this with the help of an example. So let's say I have a value 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 12, 15, 27, 19 and 18. So we have certain values here. So the first step to deal with the quantiles is that we would be requiring an ordered set. So we have already seen that to work the median we need to have an ordered set. So let's see how the order can be done. So I will be arranging it into an ascending order. So 1 2 5 6 7, so we have here a 9 as well. 9 12 15 20 sorry 18 19 and 27. So till now we got this data set, and this data set I have ordered it into an ascending order. Now after I have I have done this into an ascending order, what I'll be doing is finding the median first. So let's count the number of elements that I have. So I have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. So it is an odd scenario wherein I can directly say that 9 is the median. So it is dividing each part into 5 elements each. This is the lower quartile and this is the upper quartile. Now in each quartile I'm supposed to take up I need to take a median. So in this quartile if I take up the median value, so this is the 5, so 5 becomes your Q1 and Q2 is your 9, and in this upper quartile you can see that 18 is the middle number. So we'll see that Q3 is equals to 18. Now we have already found out the quarter 1, quarter 2 and the quarter 3. What is the the values at the cuts on the in the lower quartile, the median and the upper quartile. Now there is a concept an associated concept of the interquartile range. Signifies the bulk of data is lying in that in this particular range. So interquartile range shows the bulk of the existence of bulk of data in the specified range. So to calculate the IQR, the formula for that is Q3 minus Q1, and for this particular example if I need to calculate the interquartile range, so Q18 minus 5, that is equal to 13. So 13 becomes my my interquartile range. We have till now seen that how we import the data set, what all package, how we are installing the packages. So I would not be taking in detail that what is the installation of packages or how we are reading the data set. So let's start with this section of implementation. The first step remains the same, that we need to import our data set, and my data set is placement.csv. So when I run this particular code, you can view the data that I have. So I have run successfully here, and you can see the data set here, and here you can see that there are 215 observations of 15 variables. Now coming back to our code, the first thing that we would be doing is the standard deviation and variance. To use to get the values of standard deviation and variance, we have a formula SD, and I want to apply the standard deviation and variance on the numerical variable income, as you can see here. So you can see here that there is no income, salary. So I have to apply this these indicators over this particular column data point, that is salary. So when I would do the same and run this, you can see that I have got the value of standard deviation as 78,506. So this is the closeness of the value from the mean. Now if I have to calculate the variance, so the function is var, and in the same manner I'll apply the variance over the salary section from the data frame, and when I run this I get the variance as this particular value here. Now let's come to the next part, that is skewness and kurtosis. So the next we would be looking into skewness and kurtosis. To apply or to get the value of the skewness and kurtosis, we need to get the package, that is E1071. So this is the package in which we have the skewness and the kurtosis function. So I'll be using the E1071 package. We already know how to install the package, so we'll install packages, and we can simply write the value as E1071. And when I run this, since I have already installed it before, it is giving me a little warning, and it is restarting my R session. So I already have this package now. The next step is that I need to call this particular I need to wait a bit. Okay, so it has been unpacked now. Now I need to use the package. So I'll write down require function, and in the require I'll write E1071. So this is how I load my package for in the workspace. And yes, so it is it has loaded my required package. Rather, it is saying that it is loading the required package E1071. To calculate the skewness, the function name is skewness, and in the simplest manner we can write df and the column on which we want to find the skewness. And when I hit enter, you can get the value as 4.17, and we saw that we have already seen in the previous section that the positive value of the skewness indicates that it is right skewed. Now in the similar manner, I'll take out the value of kurtosis, that is the measure of tailoredness, and kurtosis is given in the same manner. Apply it on the column, and you'll get the value as 26. Now when I am getting this value as 26, we already saw that there are three types of kurtosis, or the positive value of kurtosis shows that there is a high there is a heavy tail, and this shows the existence of outliers. So now let's move to the next section. The next is your quartiles, or rather I'll say quantiles. And to compute the quantiles, we can simply write the function name quantile, and we'll write df $salary, and then what we'll do is we'll bind it to the probabilities that we want to see in quartiles. So we'll put it in a vector, and the vector has values, let's say 0.17, then we have 0.55, and let's say I have a value 0.97. So let's run this. So you can see that I have the value as 2,40,000 at the 17%, 2,70,000 at the 55%, and 4,39,000 at the 97%. So let's come to the last part of the section, that is calculating the mode. To calculate the mode, we need to first install the package Modist. So we'll do install.packages, and I'll just write the name of the package. So Modist is the name of the package, so it is unpacking. So yes, it has unpacked. Now to get the value, or to use the package, I need to put it in the function require, and I'll just put it as Modist. So it is the loading is completed, and you can see here that the loading required package mode is, and this has been masked. Now let's so to get the value of the mode, so mode is the the most frequently appearing value in my data set. So it gives me the value that appears in my data set most frequently. So to calculate the same, I have a function mlv, and I'll apply it on the column that I want to get the mode with, and then the method that I am using for this function is mfv, that means the most frequently used value. So this is how I'll be calculating the mode, and when I run this, you can see that I have a value 3 lakh. The value 3 lakh here means that this is the value that appears most frequently in the data set.